One Piece chapter 991 is not out. So, per usual, if there's a break on the Friday that the chapter is supposed to come out, I do the predictions, things that I expect to happen in the next chapter, right? This has been happening now, right? And I wasn't going to do it. I didn't feel like doing it initially. I was like, you know what? We committed to it. So predictions are here. One Piece 991. What do we see happening? I think based off 990, it could legitimately go anywhere. And I say that after every chapter. I mean, some chapters is a lot easier to tell where things are going. But in 990, with the X-Drake stuff, the Hawkins, the Who's Who, the Queen, the Kaido, it's like, all right, I'm not sure what happens. So I'm just going to bounce off of different things and try to come to try to make sense of it a little bit, okay? So first, let's talk about some things that throughout the week I've heard and I've tried to put things together. And recently I was rereading some chapters of Wano, and I came across something that Hawkins said. I didn't forget that he said it, but it's like, okay, what is Oda telling us here? In chapter 929, it was Hawkins and X-Drake, right? They were looking for the soba cook. It seems like Hawkins was not supposed to be there. And then Hawkins says, well, X-Drake asked him, bitches. He just asked him why he was there. Hawkins said, I'm in search of a particular man. This should be worth more than the reward of the mission alone, X-Drake. And with this, I'm like, okay, was Hawkins just there to monitor X-Drake? Did they have a feeling about X-Drake before then? Because Hawkins wasn't supposed to be there. And he's like, I'm in search of a particular man. So now, when we think back to 990, that certain man that he mentions, is it the same as this particular man? Because in Wano so far, the man that he's been going after, every single time is Law. Every single time he's had it out for Law. So could Law be this particular man and this certain man, right? Is Law the same person that he's looking for? But even deeper than that, I was going to make a separate video about it, but I think it's appropriate to talk about now. Just Law and X-Drake and their relationship or lack thereof. But either way, they're intertwined. It's almost as if they have a fated bond. And this goes all the way back to when they were kids. Some people may or may not know this. For people that are deeply embedded within the community, this is a well-known thing, right? But for some people, they really don't know about X-Drake and Law's connection from when they were kids. Okay, so back in the day, right, there was an island. You know about this story, but island with Doflamingo was going to try to get the Opi Opi no Mi. There was somebody who apprehended this fruit, and that person was D.A. Barrels, X-Drake's dad. And of course, we know he was killed by Doflamingo, whatever. And remember, Doflamingo uses bird cage, and there was a kid outside the bird cage. That kid was X-Drake. And how that kid saved Law's life was because the Doflamingo family heard on the radio that a kid had been apprehended by the Marines. And of course, Law was right there because Corazon, he kept it quiet and saved Law, but they thought Law was that kid, so therefore the birdcage went up, Law was still right there, and he got away. So that was the first time X-Drake saved Law. Now for X-Drake and his upbringing, Suru was there as well, so more than likely Suru is the one who raised X-Drake, but as far as Law's upbringing, we're not really sure. Now if you fast forward, of course they're both members of the worst generation, and they've had interactions here and there. In Sabaody, they've had dialogue back and forth, right, where Law was somewhat talking smack to X-Drake, but something I'm interested in is post-time skip. How did Law know so much about Kaido's crew? How did he know so much about the percentage to take down Kaido? Where did he get his intel? For me, I think Law and X-Drake, they're working together at this point. There's this guy, I'll put the link in the description. He made a really great theory as to why Law could be in Sword. I think you guys should check it out because I think it has a lot of credence to it. There's a lot of things there that make sense.
Law had no reason to ever become a pirate because the person whose will he inherited was a secret marine. But in the same way that Corazon taught Law that there can be good marines, Luffy is doing the same by teaching him that there can be good pirates as well.
So I'll link it below. But I think X-Drake and Law, they've been corresponding. I think they've had dialogue outside of the story that we don't know about. Okay, I'm not ready to say that Law is in Sword. I'm not ready to go there, even though it makes a lot of sense. Corazon, he was a part of a secret organization, working as a pirate, working undercover. Law, in some ways, that's the person that sent him on his way. It would make sense if he followed that path. I'm not ready to jump to that yet. But obviously, as we move forward, X-Drake was the one that saved Law when Hawkins had him dead to rights. So going forward, I wonder what's going to come of X-Drake and Law's relationship. So the point of all that is to show that there's a connection between X-Drake and Law. And obviously, X-Drake is not going to join Law's crew if he's actually a pirate. But that relationship is something to monitor. Because X-Drake, now he's trying to join the Straw Hats. So in this case, could Law vouch for X-Drake and say, well, I think he's cool? You know, he's done a lot of things for me personally, but can he do it while maintaining the identity of X-Drake? Does Law know that Drake is a Marine? I'm not sure. But there's something about that relationship that Oda is playing with and he plays up a lot that I'm sure we're going to see more of in the coming future. Maybe not this chapter, but it's something that I really wanted to point out because it was just really clear when you think back to X Drake and Law. Other stuff that could happen. Well, we should see the full transformation of Inuarashi and Nekomamushi finally. All right. Maybe. Hopefully, no more teasing by Oda and we actually see what they look like. Because they're obviously going to fight Jack. And they better look really cool because Oda has been saving this and hyping it up. The silhouette, it better be fire. Right? But I think that happens, right? I think we see it and we see the start of them versus Jack. Perospero and Marco, we should see something from them. It's been a while since we've seen them. So more than likely, I think it goes into effect now in which whatever their plan is, it comes together and they start working on sabotaging the Beast Pirates and then it could turn into the free-for-all. We should see a glimpse of that next chapter. Oda could solely focus on the Mink stuff with Kaido, but in the recent chapters, he's been going back and forth from scene to scene to scene. Like last chapter, we had the Sasaki thing, we had the X Drake and Hawkins thing. We went away from that, went to the Straw Hats, then went back to that, then went back to the Straw Hats because they were so close together. I think the point of all this is to have everything converge at one point. Something that was weird as well is Black Maria. What is she doing? Because she hasn't done anything this entire arc. We expect her to be important at some point, but when? Because she's acting very suspiciously, and when that happens, the last time it happened in Whole Cake Island, they were a Marine, they were a CP0 agent. Not saying that's what she is, but she's looking real funny in the light. Finally, in this chapter, we get Luffy's answer. What does Luffy say in regards to X Drake asking to join the Alliance? This is something that's not surprising. We just didn't know how it was going to get there, where X Drake was going to finally start working with the Alliance. It's obvious, right? The Supernova, they work with Luffy. They go to that island, whomever's close to the Yonko, they help Luffy. But it's always interesting how Oda gets us to that table. In Whole Cake Island, it was a unique roundabout way to have Luffy and Capone sit down together, even though things were done that Luffy wasn't fond of, right? And in this case, X Drake has done things to people in Wano that Luffy isn't fond of, like people in Abisu Town. But the important thing here, and in Whole Cake Island, was that he actually had his advisor. I think that's what Jinbei is. A senior advisor to Luffy. In Whole Cake Island, he told him, you can't worry about that. We need him right now. Okay, so we just got to get over it. This is the best option for us right now to ally with Capone. X Drake is now asking Luffy to join his alliance. In a subtle way, he's saying he can't reveal why he's by himself, but he's by himself and he wants to join. Luffy may not want to do it. Luffy may inquire about things that X Drake has done to the people of Wano. However, he has someone like Jinbei or even other people, but specifically Jinbei, to give him advice in regards to what he can do at the time. Because X Drake, he provides a lot of battle power for them that they really need, especially with Sasaki now back in the fold. And I don't have to go through exactly how overwhelming Kaido's forces are, but they're still the favorites. We still don't know X Drake's purpose. And to be fair, we still don't know Hawkins' purpose. Why was Hawkins searching for this particular man? Why did Hawkins ask Law about his and Luffy's alliance? For most of the Supernova, Oda has kept their ambitions and interests a mystery until their actual arc, right? We found out what Capone was after in Whole Cake Island. So obviously in Wano, we're going to find out what Hawkins is after and what X Drake is after. Because at the end of the day, they all have motives, right? We're getting closer and closer to chapter 1000. And I think Oda is going to have that be a monumental chapter. Not sure when the act is even going to be over, but at this point, and again, based on some of the announcements from Oda, etc., like something big is going to happen. Something that was hinted in the last chapter, 990, that could take precedent in 991 is the return of Orochi. The onomatopoeia that was in the chapter, as explained by numerous people, was someone either saying help or just a scream. Fukurokuju in particular and Hote, those are the two who went after it. And those two, they're obviously subordinates of Orochi, or former subordinates. We're not sure if he's alive yet. I mean, I think he's alive, but those were the two. So it makes sense if they're the two looking after him or trying to find him. What could Orochi's return mean? There are theories of Orochi telling CP0 to come to Wano, right? And that could bring Cypher Pole to Wano. And of course, X Drake, he could bring the Marines to Wano. Either way, the chapters have been building in regards to hype and excitement. So whatever happens, I'm good because I know the chapter is going to be fire. I just know it's going to be good. And I think recently the span of chapters, they've been really, really good. Last chapter was amazing. I'm really excited for 991. And I know Oda has something planned for 1000. The official site, they're already counting down to chapter 1000. At some point, maybe closer to chapter 1000, I'll talk about my expectations for the chapter. Maybe once we know a bit more because we're still like 9 chapters away, right? So I can't wait for 991. Give me your thoughts. What do you expect from chapter 991? 990 was a banger, so I expect another banger here. Oda's been in his bag, and you absolutely love to see it. Again, guys, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure to like and subscribe, everyone. Also, something I want to mention. who's who. Who's who could be important here because I think who's who still wants to do something to Queen. So this entire rigmarole may be something just to separate Queen from everybody else. Then he strikes, right? Because he's a cat or feline where, you know, maybe that's how they hunt. They separate you, then they strike. So for who's who, we have to keep an eye on him because he could still want to take down Queen. The facial expressions that who's who makes, I believe him. I don't think this was all a plan to capture Drake. I think he still wants Queen. But yeah, that's it. Like the video, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.